All right, hard yarners. No Delby today. He's off. I think he's gone for about a month, actually, and then he's back, and then he's going back over to Europe, and he's a gallivanting comedian. But today we are joined by, can I call you Jasky, or should we call you Mr Sikkant?
You can call me whatever you like. I'm happy with either.
Perfect. All right. Well, before we get on to what we spoke about today, this episode is brought to you by alltradescover.com.au. If you're watching at home, you can see behind our incredible guest today, their logo. But All Trades Cover, it's not about what they cover, because they fucking probably cover a lot of things. But who they cover is basically anyone now. Like they've grown and expanded since coming onto this podcast. So generally they focus on small tradies, sole traders, but they're onto big businesses now, and they've expanded their team to be able to cover you. Perfect example, I was going to get liability insurance for a show I was putting on, and they're going to cover me for that. So they've got so many different areas that they can cover you on, whether it's protecting your tools or injuries and things like that on site. But anything that comes to business, get around All Trades Cover. And I'm so happy that the listeners are very adamant when they reach out to All Trades Cover. They let them know they've come from the hard yarn. So keep doing that, helps us, and he's a great sponsor, been behind us the whole time. John Elliott, have you spoken to John Elliott?
No.
Get around here and become a man. He's a good laugh. And this episode also brought to you by Crafted Finance. Haven't got the logo up there yet, Ted, but the Crafted Finance is going to be behind me on the screen there. But they specialise in mortgage broking. But what I do like about them, and he's a very good mate, he's become very disillusioned with the banking system and understands all the ways they fuck over a person. So instead of leaving the system, he decided, well, how can I use this and benefit people, make them get the best decisions, or make them the best decisions, provide them with the information on how they can, save money long term, earn more money, and not pay as much money to the banks. So get around Crafted Finance, specifically for your mortgage needs and getting a house, because the cost of living crisis is fucked at the moment. So they're going to help you save a bit of money. But thank you to our sponsors. Today we were joined by Mr Sikkant. I'm going to refer to him as.
That's what my family calls me?
Yeah. Mate, incredible episode. Anyone who missed the last episode, that's because everyone missed the last episode with you, because it glitched and we didn't record, but this was great. Do you recall what we spoke about? It was a pretty good one.
Oh, it was wide-ranging. We spoke about being true to the kind of content you create, how the whole channel started, what made us start doing these street interviews, or gonzo street interviews.
Yep.
And just a bit of hate on vegans, which is important in every episode. So there's a bit of shade being thrown at vegans. So enjoy that part.
Right, very good episode, and you're always welcome back on the podcast, mate. So awesome episode, and without further ado,
I'll come back when Delby's not here. Yeah. That's the best. That's the best.
That's the best.
Fuck you, Delby. I'm taking your spot.
Fuck yeah. Well, let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Delby.
And Cameron Branch.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
I'm too ADD, man. ADD. Too OCD. And if you're slightly out of center, I'll still be like, fucking, I have to cut that frame and move it over. But
it takes that kind of person to do it properly, man.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
What have you been doing? Does Tim do everything for you?
We're recording now. Hey?
Yeah.
Yep. There's three of us now. Do you remember Lane? Stampalia?
Oh, yeah. He was filming for Delby. Was he filming for Delby as well the other night?
Possibly.
Tim was definitely. But yeah. So Lane, yeah.
So we got Tim, Lane, and then we got an outsourced guy in Pakistan.
Okay.
So there's essentially three people that do all the editing. Tim manages it.
Yeah.
But there's layers underneath.
Mate, it's such a big thing, because you've the first time I met you was in stand-up scene, and I think I was still filming stand-up. I wasn't even. I don't know if I dabbled. Maybe I'd done a couple of open mics or whatever, but it was like Hyde Park or something. And
I think it was Squirrely's gig.
Potentially.
You were filming Squirrely's Fringe Show.
Yeah,
from
potentially. Yeah. I can't remember filming too many fucking comedy shows, but I remember, I don't know if this is the same gig, but someone threw a bottle up at I think at Xavier on the...
Okay. I was like, fuck, if I had someone threw a bottle at me, I'd remember.
Yeah. Oh, no. Was it you?
No, it wasn't. No.
Are you sure?
No. I've had bottle thrown at me, but not in a comedy stand-up gig. No.
And then, what's his name? Doherty, I think it was. Aiden. He, me and him sort of like had to take this guy outside a bit. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah,
Good content. Good content.
Oh, good content. Yeah, but how does that go from there to there? Because, well, firstly, I'm going to apologise before we begin. Last time we did an episode, lost the whole episode.
So I'm making sure you're recording right now.
We are recording.
Double check that red light. I don't see a red light here somewhere, Branchy. Fucking sort it out right now.
I see it. It's all good.
Yeah, before recording, I was like, I'm going to roast him for about an hour just to make sure he's recording this episode.
Oh, mate, we've had, like I said, we've had 2 glitches in, I think, 344 episodes, and your episode was one of them. So apologies.
No.
But the good thing is...
You've grown, so it works well for me. I've come in at a time where there'll be more viewers.
Well, you've grown as well. Like, you've exponentially grown. Like, that's such a big thing. And, how do you get into that? Like, I can't remember, you might have told me before, but how do you go from comedy to just doing vox pops on the street and just blown up?
Well, the blowing up part, obviously not in my control at all.
Yeah.
And it was never to be a channel that was going to blow up and it was going to be a social media thing.
Yeah.
It was, so Tim, again, another great comedian, good friend of mine. We started around the same time. He's a genius in the comedy space. Like, I just think he just thinks of things. He has ideas, his creation around how something's going to look, how the story's going to look. Without him, it doesn't work. So a lot of the credit goes to him.
Yeah.
But all it was, I sucked at crowd work.
Yeah.
Probably still do. But I was so scared of it. And I used to see the likes of Delby and some of these other guys. Joe used to be here regularly. And I was like, how the fuck do I get good at crowd work?
Yeah.
As I would, regurgitate something I've written and I'd, just spit it out. Basically, this is your set, deliver the set. Great. If it at all deviated, someone tried to speak to me, and immediately, like, fucking sweat comes. Yeah, sweat comes out of your armpits. You start going, what do I do? And you'd get nervous. You're like, do I maneuver this? What do I say to get back on set? Now I'm off set. Now they know I'm out of the zone and all that shit. And I was like, this is such a Achilles heel that I need to figure this out. So anyway, I was like, oh, well, Tim's really good at crowd work. And I was like, what do I do, man? He's like, well, you just got to fucking practice, man. There's no other way. I'm like, well, I'm not getting enough gigs that I can go do crowd work.
Yeah.
And if I'm getting a gig, I've now got to impress that guy to give me more gigs. And there's not enough gigs to just burn it, right? And then, I don't know if you remember, there used to be small spots like Bassendean Hotel and a few others where you were doing crowd work to other comedians.
Yeah.
Which is fucking useless.
Yeah, I think the last time I did Fluffy Duck, there was 8 people in the crowd, and I think there was 8 comedians.
Well, exactly. So you can't do crowd work to friends. Like, I'm not going to do crowd work to you. It's pointless.
Yeah, correct.
So the other options were you can kind of just do it amongst friends. There's a bit of practice. And anyway, there's bits where I used to go to like some non-comedy event, jump in and then do something, but it was really jarring. Anyway, long story short, we were like, why don't we go somewhere where I don't need permission to do crowd work? Why don't we film it so I get feedback and there's a little bit of ridicule to make me better, because I need that accountability. If it's not there, then I'm not going to improve. So basically we said, well, there's a ton of people in the CBD.
Yeah.
They're not going to expect you to be doing crowd work, which you're not really doing, but you're building the skill of speaking to strangers and then learning the response. So Tim was already doing videos for us, for our businesses. We just walked the streets and it just became something that people really enjoyed. Yeah. And slowly I started to realize it was something that a lot of people are unwilling to do, and there's so many layers to how you can make that really, really interesting for people. Yeah. So that's been the journey.
It's like turning a weakness into your strength, which is what you've done. You've been training, and now that's actually become, instead of something that was you were using to try and make you better, that's become your better.
It's become the thing. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and then we did a fringe show, which was 100% crowd work. Yeah. Which was a crazy 360 to go. I couldn't even imagine doing crowd work to now going, tight wire act that we're just going to do a full hour of comedy of pure crowd work. Yeah. It was fucking amazing. It was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, not good in the performance side. There's rooms to improve, but it was just so good that we could do that.
Is that now like a thing because you see comedians get stuck in shticks, I guess, or in lanes, and then they get their crowds, and you see like some of these big YouTube comedians, and they have their crowd, and then if they go and do the lounge on a Friday night where no one knows who the fuck they are, they're like, and then they struggle a little bit. Is that a thing you think about? Has comedy taken a back seat and this is your future?
Currently, it has taken a back seat, and you're 100% right. Doing straight up stand-up in stand-up venues would not be as smooth as it used to be when I was doing it regularly. But it's an opportunity cost. Something's always got to give, so I had to prioritize where do we want to go with the comedy side.
Yeah.
And the difference is, as amazing as a venue of Comedy Lounge is, as amazing the performers, the venue and everything, it's not going to be a pathway to getting better as a comedian.
Never. It's
fact,
too good. It's too easy.
Yeah. And also, there's too much scaffolding around what's required from that venue. Nothing against it. They're a great venue.
Yeah.
But for us to sell out every single show that we did on 100% crowd work experience for people, which is still comedy, it's very different. They're the type of people that go to stand-up comedy may not enjoy that or doesn't. I don't really care.
Oh, yeah.
But what it means is now we can do that. We can actually do that as a show.
Yeah.
And you can build.
Well, the pressure of performing at the lounge is there as well. You do want to, you want more gigs there because it is the best venue.
Yeah.
But it's also, you can't get better by continuously gigging there because it is so easy. It's set up for perfection. It's got the best lighting, the best mics. The crowd's there specifically to watch it. So going and doing these grimy, grungy gigs at like pubs that just have like a shitty spotlight and a mic that
it's like, what the fuck's the point?
Squeals and like if you're doing those ones and you can really improve there, that's the I think that's where the work is. Yeah, and
I think with comedy lounges or a big venue like that, like Comics Lounge in Melbourne, or doing, if you go overseas and you start doing, for example, the Mothership, you get a spot there.
Yeah.
You really want to impress as best as you can.
Yeah.
So how do you develop the skill? And I feel like the comedians that get into the cycle of performing at these amazing venues lose. Again, I'm talking like I'm fucking an expert. I'm not, but I'm saying you lose the ability to improve. That cycle.
Definitely. And I was conscious of that. Like I did lounge last night for the Swanee show, and I don't very often get, I guess, pro gigs at the lounge. Not yet. I'm still learning. I'm still, and I'm on and off. I'm never in the scene consistently. The pod takes over and priorities take over. But knowing that I had the gig last week, I called up Xavier and I said, mate, can I get up at ECC on the Tuesday night? I just need to dust the cobwebs off because I hadn't done it for like 3 months.
Really?
And I'm so glad I did. I was clunky as fuck. So bad. Like forgot a joke I've told 1,000 times and it's like a 2-step joke. Like it's a set-up punch. And I forgot. I got to the setup. I didn't even punch. I got halfway through and I went, oh, sorry, I've forgotten. And but then I've also realised, fuck, it's a thing you need to keep continuously working at or you do lose it. So I took it quite seriously this week and I went through it a lot in my head. And then last night just went out. We all crushed. Like the lounge is set up to win, obviously. But we all crushed. Wolfie, I'm so glad. So the original lineup, I was going to have to follow Wolfie, and I messaged Butter. I was like, "Are you sure you want me to follow Wolfie? Like,
should I headline that one? What do you think? There's only Jim Jeffries, Russell Peters,
what the fuck?" But we end
Joe
up
Rogan. But I'll finish.
We end up doing it. So Butter goes out, MCs, did a great job. He's very good at the crowd work. That's his forte. I came out and I ease into like it's stand up and it's dark, but it's like a slower tempo style of comedy, and then Wolfie came out and just fucking
blitz it,
yeah. Well, everyone's like, "What the fuck is this guy on?" Even though he's stone cold sober, and which is beyond a lot of people.
Which is unusual for Wolfie.
Yeah, exactly. He's been sober for over a year. Oh. Hasn't had a drop of alcohol.
That's why we haven't been hanging out.
Yeah. And then to be fair, Delby had to come out and follow Wolfie. And it's hard. So you could see he started slowly, but he's a very good comedian now. Like he won't give himself enough credit, but he's a very good comedian now. He built himself up, and then it slowly built, and then
He's always
finished
has
with the
been.
rap, which is just
He's always been amazing.
Yeah.
When I was in the scene and he was running that one in Scarborough, that's where I used to get some spots.
the
107
shark.
or 607
Yeah,
or
yeah,
some fucking thing. Ocean something. right?
Oceans, yeah.
And he was amazing. And at that point I was like, this guy's fucking top shelf. And he told me I've only really started 2 years ago. So I was very impressed. And he's quick. He's got the freestyle stuff and whatever. And I'm only saying this because he's not here. If he was here,
Yeah, wouldn't give him compliments.
you're
Yeah,
fucking shit.
He's and selling out Asta last week. He's doing really well with that. But yeah, his quick-wittedness is also his downfall, because every time we put up a clip, someone's like, "Old mate's off his fucking head." You're like, nah, he's just got severe ADD, man. He's just moving and stuff.
Yeah,
but,
it's always-
but yeah, man, that's awesome. I love that it's come from trying to build something. And trying to learn and grow, and now it's become your bread and butter, which is awesome. And it's interesting because, like, when do you think? I was thinking about this the other day. Like, when do you think this idea of making it or getting to this point where you're like, yeah, that's it. I've gotten to where I was trying to get to, and it never happens.
I don't think it exists.
It doesn't.
No.
It definitely doesn't.
No. And I think that's a human condition. You're not going to go, now I'm done. I think, look, it's something I've actually tried to quantify, because until you quantify it, it's always going to just be like ephemeral, whatever the word is. It's going to be vague. It's not going to be clear. And the way you can quantify it financially, you can quantify it.
Yeah, materially,
You can say, this is the amount of money I need to make. And obviously in business, you have to kind of know where that line is drawn. Otherwise, it's that hedonistic fucking cycle. You're constantly looking for more, and the goalpost gets pushed, your lifestyle creeps, and then you're in a cycle of where you're, golden changing. You're always trying to do more, and you're like, I don't need more. I could just tailor it back a little bit. I don't need the fucking 300 thread silk sheets or whatever. You don't, it's not necessary, but you just become to that
they're
level.
nice. They're definitely nice to have luxuries.
Yeah, but I don't need to work 12 hours to now just have silk thread Italian sheets.
Yeah.
So it's easy to do it in that, but in the emotional context, I think that's quite hard.
Yeah. It's something like it was a good moment, I think yesterday, when we ticked over 100,000 followers, and you started
congratulations.
to go,
That's wicked, man.
Yeah, it
It's
was
really cool.
And you
I think you were
of
at
it,
2 when I last came.
Yeah, mate. Like, it's just been exponentially just growing, and it's one of those things of like, it was a good moment. Not that 100,000 means anything, but it's like, it doesn't really change anything at all, nothing at all. And if I had looked at where I am now, for example, and where the pod is right now, 6 years ago, I'd go, what the fuck? How good is this? This is incredible.
Exactly.
But now I'm still sitting here, and I realized this yesterday. I'm like, I'm waiting for the moment where I go, oh yeah, that's it. That's when we've made it. And then I was like, oh no, we already have. Like, this is my full-time job. Like, I'm already doing it. I'm going to Europe it's not like I'm struggling to get by.
Yes.
I'm going to Europe for 3 weeks. I could go on holidays. I have a nice place and plenty of luxuries. So what the fuck am I ever? What else do I want? I think, and that little moment was just a reminder. Like, it doesn't matter. Numbers don't matter. Material wealth, any of that doesn't matter. It's how you feel, I think. And I think finally I'm starting to feel, and I don't know where you're at with Mr Sikkant and where that sort of grows, but and where comedy grows, like, because you got other businesses.
Yep.
And like, what sort of priority do they take, or do they sort of take a back step? And this is like, well, I'm going to focus on this passion, or
Yeah, good questions. There's, I don't have the answer. I can only really talk about what I think of, and I think you've got to celebrate the 100,000, even though it doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
I think it is something to go. Like you said, had someone told me at the start of 4 or 5 years, I'm going to have 100,000 Instagram. I don't know how many listeners do you have on average per episode.
Yeah, probably it's usually about 10% of that.
Which is again, you'd be like 10,000 listeners
Correct.
per episode is something you got to go, man, that's amazing.
100%.
Any fucking random podcaster who tries to start a podcast and envisions one day I'll get 10,000 viewers, listeners per episode.
Yeah.
It would fucking blow their mind.
100%.
So
And instead of thinking, oh, well, now I want 100,000, celebrate the 10,000.
yeah, I guess that's where I'm going, is like, you celebrate that, then you go, okay, good. But I know I've got more. And that is okay. It's not like, it's like people feel guilty that, I celebrate this now and I'm not being grateful. You're being grateful, but you've fucking worked to get here, and you have enough in your capability, experience, learning. Now that you've done all of that to get it to this stage where you can live your life with this creative, artistic expression, allowing you to fund your life. That is fucking wild, man.
It is. Like I do have little pinch me moments, and you must have it as well, because does the channel help fund you now? Have you like monetized that pretty well? Like you're getting sponsors and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's the thing with me is I'm putting it all back in. I'm literally taking none of it.
Mr. Beast model.
Yeah, but I'm not getting hundreds of millions. But like I said at the outset, now we got a team of 4 soon to grow, because we want to do bigger and better things. Our YouTube finally hit. Well, there was a month where shorts crossed that amount, but in long form content, it hit 1 million views last month.
So when because I seen you post that, and I was like, I wonder, is that shorts or is that fucking? And obviously a little bit, but like
majority of it was from long form.
That's incredible, and that's huge.
Which is wild, right? 60% was, I think, long form. 40% came from shorts.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But last month, across all social media platforms, we hit 20 million views.
That's crazy.
Which is incredible. And again, I have that same moment where Tim and I sit down, we go, that's cool. So what are we going to do next?
Yeah. Well, I looked at our stats because I'm trying to like get sponsors and stuff like that, and I put in all the data and analytics together, and we had 10 million views on Facebook, 10 million views on Instagram, 10 million views on TikTok, and then whatever on YouTube. Our YouTube's very small at this stage. And so I was like, that's 30 million in a month. What the fuck?
It's wild.
It's crazy. And granted, there might be spillover, like some of the same people following and stuff like that. But it's just, you start to get an appreciation for like, fuck, that's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot of people. Like if you, and I think Wolfie was using this for example, because he was feeling disheveled when he was like putting up a post and 15,000 people watch his clip. He's like, it's only 15,000 views. And then he reshaped his mind. He went, you put 15,000 people in a stadium, that's huge. So what am I thinking? And he reshaped his thought process. So, yeah, coming to terms with your success and celebrating it, I think is fucking important, but it doesn't mean that's where it ends.
No. And then you've got, like I said, you've got to that point, and I know you asked about what is it going to mean in the future. I don't think I can ever do it full time, because I don't think that's going to benefit the channel, nor is it going to benefit me.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. Because if I do it full time, I think the extra time is actually going to be frivolous. I don't think I can do much more as opposed to just fucking around. Like if I was actually, say, doing stand-up full time, for example.
Yeah.
I see a lot of comedians who do stand-up full time. They probably really only do anything meaningful for 10 to 20% of the day. 80% is fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
They're doing nothing. They're just like filling up time. They're going, I'm reading this book because it's going to help. It's not doing any of it, right?
Jack Barrett will just play golf.
Exactly. Which is great. You get to decompress. Maybe your set's better. But I know myself, and I love business. I've been in business for 15 years. No one really knows about the business side, and that's fine. That's just what it's been. And I would love to create enough space that I can have really good people, like the likes of Tim, Lane, and our team, who are full-time, and they do it very, very well. And all I've got to do is focus on improving that one skill set that's leveraged for the channel.
Yeah.
And that doesn't need 8 hours. That doesn't need 10 hours. That needs like at most 2 hours a day. And after that, your brain is fried.
Yeah.
You can't just keep constantly improving.
Even just a podcast, man. We do this for 2 hours. We do a 2 hour pod. By the end of it, I'm more fried than I am if I've gone for a 10, 15K jog.
Exactly.
I'm just like, I sweat more. Like there's a different. It's
because you're focusing. You're going, where do I take this next? You're also switching, which is wild.
We did 2 episodes in one day once, and at the end of it, I just was broken. I was like a shell of a person, and it's just talking. I don't understand. Like Rogan will do that from time to time. I hear him say, I'm just about to do a podcast with him after. Yeah. And I'm like, you've just done a 3 hour podcast. Now you're about to do another 3 hour. Like, I don't know when that's your life.
Yeah, but he's on 58 supplements.
Exactly.
I'm sure he can handle it 7 alpha brains later.
That's what we tried that time, and it actually helped.
It's great.
We definitely, maybe we should get on that alpha brain.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, I guess with the future of that, does it remain because you've been going overseas, or not overseas, going interstate and stuff like that, and you've been talking to some very interesting people. One of your clips actually really opened my mind, and I should have already been in this camp already. Been very, we commentate on politics quite a lot. You talk to Pauline Hanson.
Oh yeah.
And interesting chat, because I still don't know where I sit with someone like Pauline Hanson, and I've had to basically make everyone in politics a blank canvas and start again, because I'm aware that, oh shit, everything I think about every politician is based on what I've seen in the news. And now I realise that the news is lies. So is Clive Palmer a cockhead? Is Pauline Hanson a racist? Is Albo a fucking weird little prick? I don't know.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, but probably. But the one thing that I do take out of her chat with you was this idea of multiculturalism versus multinationalism, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it was this just an explanation of like, no, I think we need a multicultural society, but they need to adopt the Australian ways as opposed to just bringing in a heap of people and them not conforming to our society in certain ways. There's obviously it's a liberal position to take to let them celebrate their own religions and stuff, but not to change our society based on them. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense. That doesn't sound as nearly as racist as I thought you were.
Yes.
And these are the conversations I like that you're starting to have, and you're obviously talking to locals on the street, but having chats with that must open your mind a bit as well.
Yeah. I try and steer away from politics. I'm not that educated on politics. And also, I think unless you've got a very clear side or opinion you're taking, it can be very divisive. And which is okay, and that is perfectly fine. Like some people are on a particular side and they're very educated and they can make that opinion about what it is.
Yeah.
I just know that the channel has always been that I'm, and the analogy is weird as, but you know cricket enough.
Yes.
I think of myself as a side screen, right? Like
Yeah,
you've got to be enough. You're there for visibility of what's happening in the action.
Yeah.
Right. And hence
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, but when I try and explain to someone who's never watched cricket,
Yeah. That's great.
so it helps the ball with more visibility.
Yeah.
It showcases what's happening in the game,
Yeah.
but the side screen, no one's looking at the side screen.
Correct.
Right? And occasionally the side screen has problems and then it fucks up the whole play. And that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But I try and go, look, black, stay out of the picture, but you're allowing it. Now the analogy is not going to carry on, but you're allowing it to go a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're not front and center of the conversation because I've always found it very difficult to be the expert because I always get everything wrong. I think I've got something right, I get it wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I pretend to know what I know, I am usually corrected shortly thereafter.
You're very quick though to say, I don't know. I'm just here asking questions.
Correct. So even with Pauline Hanson, I'm like, I came in with a bias. I'm like, she's fucking racist.
Yeah.
She's said these things against Asians because of my family and coming here and just seeing the news, her saying, we don't want Asian people.
Yes.
You guys need to get the fuck out of the country. Or anyone wearing a hijab, I'm going to wear a hijab into court. And I saw all this stuff and I'm like, she is going to be the most racist human in the world. But then I had to reframe that bias in my head and go, look, I'm the side screen. I've got to come here and just allow this conversation to happen. But the job is, like again in cricket, you've got to make the key thing visible. And the key thing there is I've got to ask that question because that's the question people have.
Yeah, which you said people think you're racist, I think, from memory. And,
Yeah.
And you put it straight out there.
Yeah, because that's every conversation. You're watching a person, you're going to go, oh, what should I ask Ranchi? I need to get him to ask that question.
Yeah.
And that's what I hate sometimes. I listen to the Joe Rogan Experience. He'll have a guy on.
Yeah.
We know the question that needs to be asked. And he will start talking about fucking grappling them on their neck and what supplements you take. Have you eaten a carnivore diet? I'm like, fuck's sake, bro. Can you just ask him about the thing?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So you get to do that now. That's your job.
Yeah. So that's what's awesome. I can meet someone like Pauline Hanson. I can step out of the conversation, let her say what she needs to say. But what makes it funny, interesting, and unique is I can ask the question, but more so I can put myself in the situation.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to, it's different where a lot of people have sit-down conversations. That's not me. I'm on the streets. and on the streets normally means you can be part of their life. And that allows me to more like Gonzo style, be in the world.
I think it is such a good analogy because it's the same when we have guests, I guess. Me and Del, we probably interrupt too much and we talk about our own life a lot when we have guests. But I think that's what we are. We are a platform for other people. Yeah. So we are just the recognition of like, this is what the program is, and then give them the table. So I think that's the best way to do it. And often, I guess in your situation, some of the people you're interviewing, they're the star. They're the ones that make it go.
Yeah, they become famous.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like they come on, we let them share their story. And also then it comes down to the side of you're going to get extreme amounts of public ridicule because you're belittling people. You're speaking to people with disabilities. You're like taking the piss out of people and this and that. And all that comes from people judging someone who's lesser than them.
Yeah.
And where I try not to ever do that. Not that I'm saying there hasn't been instances where I've gone, fuck, I think went too far. I should have not said that. Should have not done that.
Yeah.
That was kind of too crowd worky where you actually take the piss out of someone.
Yeah.
And you learn, you improve. But more so it means the basis of like your podcast, like anyone's channel, there's like a constitution or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, the aim is we are not filtering this. I'm coming up to you. I'm not provoking you. I'm not trolling you. If you don't give me consent to have this conversation, I'm leaving. But what you say is what you say. What I say is what I say.
Yeah.
And that's got to be honest, open and raw.
Some of the most interesting things that I've seen with you, one of the most interesting one was it the Palestine?
Oh, one in Melbourne?
In the Melbourne.
Yeah, that was wild.
Now, I can't remember the context of this. It was a pro-Palestinian march?
Yes.
And you were just reporting and asking what was going on. And then they started surrounding you like you were the bad guy.
Yeah. They started blocking me. They started like fucking just I still don't know what happened in that moment.
And if anything, you're obviously neutrally, like you said, you're quite neutral, just open, tell me what's going on here. I don't understand why people, like, they just assume that people are just trying to, what if you were on their side specifically, like going, hey, let's promote this.
Yep.
Yeah, like that was such an interesting thing. But you must get that a bit often when it comes to, you're in the public, the people are starting to recognize you.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of mistaken identity sometimes. I think this guy called Avi Yemeni, who's Rebel News, I've watched a few of his things, but I'm not like someone who's very familiar with.
Is that not the most racist thing?
It is. We don't even look the same, but we're the same
Nothing
skin.
like each other.
He's like jacked. He's an ex-warrior. He's like fucking part of the Israeli armed forces.
Oh my God.
And I'm a scrawny Ethiopian guy with a moustache.
Fucking hell.
it's
But
wild.
I see that.
So I think that's been where it's been misconstrued. I think that's what happened.
And they assumed you were Rebel News reporting.
Coming in from the Israeli side to talk about
Yeah.
something anti-Palestine, whereas the two previous interviews I did there were all about people sharing why Palestine should be freed.
Yeah.
And again, it's the same thing. I don't have an opinion. I'm not knowledgeable. I don't know anything. I'm just there because there's a ton of people there. There's obviously a lot of tension. They've got energy about something. So it's a great place to be to get interesting, provocative, timely content.
Yeah.
And not necessarily funny, but it doesn't always have to be funny. There's always a 5% where we can just do something serious, like the Pauline Hanson thing.
Yeah.
Although I did ask Pauline Hanson to come play mini golf, and she refused. That would have been funny.
That would have been very funny.
With like little brown balls, see if she can get them into white holes. she refused that part.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, so I don't know what actually happened. These obviously very wokey Melbourne crew that dressed like fucking freaks just started blocking us off. And initially Tim was like, dude, some shit's going down. And I was like, well, your mind has to go, what is going to make this an interesting, funny situation?
Yeah.
And if I fought back and became defensive, that's not funny.
Yeah.
And nor is it entertaining because now you're a cunt. Back to them.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse my language.
No, but that's the thing. If you push back, if you let an asshole make you an asshole, you've let them change you.
Yes, exactly. So in those situations, I've got to stay. It's hard to stay impartial when someone's being a total nuisance. And I've had that many times, that you just got to go, okay, what's the interesting thing here? Because here we are creating something interesting. I'm not here for my personal ego.
Yeah.
If I was, then I'll be like, oh, fuck it, oh, the whole
Yeah.
thing, right? But I'm not generally a very violent person anyway, but it can happen. But I was just like, let's just stay back and let them play it. And they did it for so long.
Yeah.
To the point that they walked to my car. We walked all the way through this entire protest. They started throwing sheets over Tim's camera. Everywhere I go. And then the police were on their side without investigating what happened.
Yeah.
So the police were filming me to say, what are you doing? We're aware of what you're doing. We're getting it on camera.
Yeah.
I'm like, what about what these people are doing? And they're like, no, mate, we know what you're doing. And I'm like, do you really? Let's see what's happening. And in front of them, it's all on video. It's completely out there.
Yeah.
I think it's on our Patreon for free. You can go watch it.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay. That's not a plug for Patreon.
Yeah.
And the whole thing went to their side. So Victorian police literally gave no fucks.
That's
And I went up to them and go, hey, what do you want me to do in this situation?
yeah.
This is like,
I recall something along this. Yeah.
well, I was like, this is like what is it called? Like, not invasion of personal space or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
I was like, can you at least tell
Yeah.
me what you want me to do? They're like, well, I think his words were, I'm going to paraphrase, you figure it out, mate.
Yeah.
I was like, this is wild, man.
Yeah.
This is wild. You cunts are fucked.
Fuck, man, that's intense. But there's also been some pretty good ones that I've noticed. Like, was it Duplessis when he was here for the UFC? Like that sort of stuff's like he just popped up and he was there.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was until someone mentioned he's a UFC champion.
Yeah,
Because I don't watch UFC.
that's crazy.
So, and then from the handshake, I knew who he was.
Hello, yeah. Who the fuck are you?
I punch people for a living. I'm like, okay, bro, fucking chill. He was awesome, man. He was really cool. He even hung out with us after.
Really?
Yeah, we was just chatting. He was like, what are you guys doing? He was just such a nice dude. And I was like, how's this guy one of the most feared opponents in a ring? Because he seemed like a fucking cool dude.
Yeah.
And I'm
Mate,
sure
and
he is.
this is what they're all like. Even Swanee, for example, like he's lauded here, and like still, it was like 10 years after being retired.
He's a legend.
And like his willingness to just give back to the people last night. It's like everyone wants a photo. He's like, nah, they've put their time and effort out to come and watch me.
Yeah.
It's just a photo. It's
Yeah.
easy. Smile, have a chat, no problem. I love that sort of shit. But even funnier, my missus came to watch last night. She's never really seen me do stand up. Not too much. She's seen me a couple of times at the Squealing Pig, but nothing too much. And so she'd come and I sat her at the back, and then Swanee wanted to watch the show, so I went and sat him next to my missus, and so she's just sitting with him. She's like, I don't even know who the fuck he is. Like,
Really?
She's
Wow.
English, so she's like, and then all these Collingwood supporters are like, oh my god, you're so lucky.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So if you don't know the guy, you're just going to get more of an authentic version of them, and not this lording over them like they're fucking everything. Which is probably what they crave more than anything. Just real connection.
Because you can ask again the questions that are not biased. Like if I randomly met Virat Kohli, for example, that would be a very different interview.
Yes.
Right? Like I've had such a preconception or familiarity with him.
Yeah.
Like obsessed over him as like a fucking god of cricket.
Yeah.
And it would be a very different interview where I would be asking very detailed stuff, assuming everyone has a baseline knowledge. Whereas with Duplessis, I didn't even know any of the baseline.
Yeah.
So it was awesome, man. And occasionally we'll get that kind of very well-known person that pops up from somewhere, and more often than not, it's happening more to some extent, like influencers. Isaac Butterfield, we did a thing with, who I've watched over the years, but again, it's awesome to now do a thing with him.
Yeah.
Nazim Hussain. Anyway, a few bunch, but I'm not trying to name drop or whatever.
No, but all these people and they're all the same. They've worked their way up which is, I love seeing that, and the community that's building. There's something building in Australia, like this community of, I don't want to say, so there is the mainstream that they're on the ABC, they're on the all the talk shows and whatnot, and the galas, the Melbourne International Festival galas and whatnot, and then there seems to be this other crew that's more on the social side of things. They're more on the Instagram and the Facebook and the YouTubes, and they're all together and they're all communicating. Like Butterfield, for example, like that last time we messaged, he's going to jump on when he's over in town, and these sorts of connections that you're bridging across the country. Like we're so segregated here, like we're so separate from everything. But
that's what I love. Like Perth is actually creating some really cool
something here,
really cool new unique projects. Like you guys and us, we were in the same comedy world.
Yeah.
And also Matt Storer is another one who's got his own channel, which is
blown up.
popping, right? And that's the same generation, like he's obviously way more experienced than all of us, I imagine, but
Yeah.
in that same generation, all in Perth, in one of the most isolated parts of the world,
Yeah.
and all of those channels are getting not only national, global reach, and it's cool, and that's why people throw shade at Perth. People sometimes go, "Oh, Perth is boring," and I'm like, look at the content we have managed to
Yeah.
create, yourself included, is from this place. Look at the acts that come here. Look at the diversity of people you get to see here. The kinds of interest, the conversations, the unique nature. I've gone to Brisbane, I've gone to Melbourne, I've gone to Sydney. We're going to Sydney again shortly to do the same thing. And you go, there is a lot more cookie cutter, similar sort of feel in the. Obviously, you can go to the fringes and you get the fringes. Here in the center, you get variety.
Yeah.
You get so much unique character, people that have time and the liberty to take interest in their creative work. We've got a fucking multi-story university being built in the center of the city, which is dedicated to creative arts to some extent.
It's going to have a theatre in the middle, I think, as well.
It's going to be next level, man.
But that's such an old reductive comment that there's nothing to do in Perth. 30 years ago, you're fucking dead right. Like when I grew up, no, like even when I think about what we had when I grew up, there's not much going on. There is so much in Perth now, so much. So yes, that used to be a true statement. There's nothing to do. It's so boring. There's fucking so much to do in Perth. Even when it comes to like comedy, there are 38 fucking comedy rooms here now. Like,
but I guess it's a contrast, right? Like I just went to Japan, for example, just on a holiday with the family.
Yeah.
And you look at Japan and you look at Perth, you're like, there is nothing to do in Perth.
Yeah.
Right?
It
is a contrast. Like you look at Sydney and you come back here, you're like, fuck, Perth is fucking dead.
Yeah.
Whereas now we did a whole YouTube thing on Geraldton, which we're going to be releasing, called Finding the Biggest Dero in Gero.
Yeah.
And then you compare Geraldton to Perth and you're like, there's fucking nothing in Geraldton. So it's a contrast of where you are, where
there is nothing in Geraldton.
that's actually a factual statement. I was trying to be nice to give it a contrast. No, Geraldton's fucked.
if you're an international listener, fucking Geraldton's 4 hours north of Perth, and it's how it sounds. It's not.
But very, very interesting. Like a very interesting place in the sense that there is a police station next to a courthouse, which isn't that uncommon, but right next to each other is also very interesting. And then you got a congregation of people that are just hanging outside of a courthouse, even though they're not attending court.
Yeah.
And then you got the most beautiful fucking marina with these funky cafes. And then the characters, because our channel's all about finding those interesting characters.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most commented things. You got to go to Dero Gero or Dero Gero.
Yeah.
So we then obviously titled it saying, we'll find the biggest Dero in Gero.
Yeah.
And by the time this releases, it'll probably be out. So go check it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it was actually a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. We did it all in one day.
I love that. You've been doing the KGB as well that I've been watching. That's pretty intense though. That's that stuff must feel like, do you feel in danger at some points?
This is the question I think most people ask, and maybe I'm oblivious to it. I don't. There was one moment in that I did feel very uncomfortable in that search for the KGB video that we did.
Yep. Was that the front of someone's house? Or something?
When we got guided by this chick who was under the influence. I'm not sure. Yeah. But I suspect she was. And she was like, I'll take you to the biggest OG of KGB. This is the OG person. I'm like, let's go, because that's who we're looking for. And she took us to a very suspicious looking house. It just looked a bit run down. Nothing too out of the ordinary. But then within a moment, these two old fellas, one semi-young, but one real old, like kind of bikey demeanor, immediately like, why the fuck the cameras here? Yeah. Who's that guy? Get the fuck off my and it just kicked off. And then this other guy who looked like the main dude, he was like a kind of a jacked Mexican looking dude. He didn't look Aussie. Yeah. And he just was like, nah, straight off, get out of here. And obviously we took a step back. There was a guy who was absolutely cooked coming my way. And in that situation, I'm like, a person that's on something can flip like this. Yeah. And so I had to be wary. The advantage is I've got Tim. And Tim,
he's a sizable lad.
Not only that, he's had experience with everything. Is the nicest way to put it. Yeah. So he knows when something gets sketchy.
Yeah.
And so the
'Cause
barometer.
he's normally the sketchy guy.
He's like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
They know me. Drop my name. So he will. He's a guy look at. It's like, you kind of look at something and gives you a signal. So when I'm in a situation, I kind of got to look at Tim. And there's only been maybe 2 or 3 situations where he's gone, look, we got to go. And this was when a car pulled in. It was like a ute and it's not uncommon, but when you see 4 different races in a car and all 4 of them look disheveled, you're like, that's fucking weird. I've never seen an Indian, Chinese, Aussie and an indigenous person all together, which is great to see because it's multicultural.
Multiculturalism, yeah.
But all looking disheveled and all a little bit fucking off the chain. I was like, this is odd.
Yeah.
The things that were in the car looked odd. They were like fucking javelins and all. And I was like, this is just weird.
Yeah.
And it pulled in and the traffic kept happening. And then at that point, Tim was literally like, let's go. Lane was already on the other side of the road. he was trying to film a guy who was stuck in a fence. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah, seen, yeah. Fuck.
So at that point when he says, we got to go, and that's when I felt, fuck, this is a little bit too far. But I'm never provoking anyone. So I'm not in a situation where I'm worried that I'm provoking someone.
What about like obviously provoking the vegans to a point, but like
sorry, that was provoking. Yes, yeah.
I mean, you generally do really well with them, but obviously bringing the meat and the non-meat into there, so that wasn't she wasn't happy.
How I can justify that is I was trying to go, what do they do in reverse that will they be able to handle someone who's a meat eater doing to them? So I think we spoke last time about Tash Peterson because we've done a few things with Tash and I have an opinion of her outside of her facade of Tash Peterson.
Same.
She seems like a fucking normal, decent person, right?
She's a legend. Out of all of the theatre, she's a legend.
That's why I'm so shocked because she's a total fucking idiot when it comes to whatever she does.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off. But when I've met her in person, I've met her a few times now.
Exactly.
And we've, shared messages and talked and I was like, she seems fucking normal.
Very normal. But she's very passionate and has a very theatrical way of getting it out there, that's her method. I don't like it. No. I don't think many people like it. But
like off camera, we shared a steak. It was wild. Yeah. She was like, extra meat, please.
Yeah.
But with the vegans, they go into like someone's restaurant who's like the fire restaurant where they serve steak or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll just fucking blast the place because people are eating meat. They're just enjoying themselves. They're not trying to be advocates for meat or whatever. They're just doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, how do we try and flip this to see their reaction? I understand, yes, that's crossing the line of provoking, but I was like, how do they respond?
Yeah.
If we were to do the same thing? So I have a good mate of mine who's got a popular channel called Fire to Fork.
Yeah.
Harry Fisher, he's also a fucking awesome content creator. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why don't you cook the sausages and we'll take it there and see how they respond? And of course, it was not pleasant.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I've seen I understand the vegan mentality of like we don't want to harm animals, presented with the idea of like, well, you're unintentionally harming animals by eating the vegetables because of the harvesting of them and the amount of insects and small vermin that are killed in that collecting. And their way around that is like, well, we're not intentionally going out and killing these animals.
It's manslaughter, not murder.
Yeah, correct. And I get that to a point. Like they don't want to contribute that. I'd go a step further and I went down the vegetarian path. I went down originally as for a gut health issue, and by stopping eating meat, it fixed it.
Really?
I think I'd done so much damage to my gut that just processing the meat was just a bit harder. It might give me night sweats and stuff like that. Wow. But eventually, once I got back into meat after that, but while I was vegetarian, eventually went from health to like, I like the fact that I'm not killing animals. This was nice because I love animals. I'm all for animal welfare. But then I shifted again to this point of like, it might seem like a cop out, but almost a spiritual sense of a giving thanks because from my point of view, and some people might think this is silly, I think we're all one. I think we're all part of the same source. And so if we're all returning back to that one source, what does it really matter? And that doesn't mean we should inhumanely kill and torture these animals, which I agree with. I hate factory farming. I think it's disgusting. But having pasture-raised meat, pasture-raised food that's killed as humanely as possible, giving thanks for what they've done for us to provide sustenance for us, and having that sort of a concept for me, that's how I've moved through it to, I guess, I have some form of empathy for the animal. I still don't, that doesn't mean I think factory farming's good.
Yes.
But this is where I don't think the vegans really have a strong argument, because they end up coming back to this point of the death. And honestly, these animals that die in the wild, die a far more horrific death. Or these fly-blown sheep that you see out in the back. Like, if you were to see them, they will say, oh, well, you can't cut their tails off. That's fucking inhumane. Well, letting them get fly-blown's even worse. So there's so many different things to cover with the vegan plight. But I just see them, they're very staunch. They don't move.
And also, is it the best approach to in any activist or movement to just fucking yell and scream and interrupt and just pester people to change?
No.
Look at it in a marriage. When your wife pesters you, you do the fucking opposite.
Yeah.
Actually, oh, why don't you clean this?
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I'm not going to clean it.
Someone tells you to watch a TV series. Oh, you got to watch Game of Thrones. Fuck off.
No, I'm not going to watch it.
I'm not watching it now. Yeah.
It's like even this socialist movement where, I've interviewed a few people. They're like, we've got to get rid of billionaires. Billionaires are the fucking worst. And I'm like, the categorical statement of billionaires is dumb in itself, but that's okay.
Yes.
Again, be the side screen, understand the conversation. But then if you're yelling at people, you're saying, fuck this guy, a graffiti, some unknown person's Tesla who's got nothing to do with Elon Musk. It happened in our suburb. They just graffitied someone's Tesla and wrote, Nazi or you're some profane thing. I'm sure people can Google it. And I'm like, well, that doesn't change. I don't know. I don't think that changes behavior. And that's the problem with Tasha's whole thing. And I asked her about it. I never put it on because I was like, I don't really want publicity on that side because I just think it's annoying as fuck.
Yes.
And I told her, I was like, it's fucking annoying. And I was like, why not? Again, Elon Musk is a polarizing person, but let's just take what he's done outside of his political affiliations. All these climate people are like, fuel, vehicles, the amount of pollution from all these vehicles are really causing climate problems. All right, this guy said, fine, I'll make a vehicle which is the most climate sustainable, whatever the word is, in the world, and it's going to change the entire industry where everyone is now going to have an electric vehicle or want an electric vehicle. And the movement has been incredibly widespread. Every manufacturer is making an electric vehicle. Just on that basis, you'd be like, well done, you did a good job.
Yeah.
And I think he did a good job. So, okay, if you want to take the same approach to veganism, instead of fucking yelling at people, instead of crashing restaurants, instead of going in and kicking the doors and pulling steak out of people's hands and putting blood on your body, walking through Woolworths and just being a total cunt, just make something better.
Yeah.
Right? Just put that energy to make something better.
Yeah.
Isn't that the basis of innovation? Like, you just make something better and the person goes, well, I'm not going to kill a cow.
Yeah.
I'll eat this, I don't know, whatever alternative, fucking soy, that sounds disgusting, but soy steak alternative. But it tastes amazing. Yeah. Like what they tried with Beyond Burger, and then eventually people realized the ingredients in those things
oh my God.
are like rat's dick.
And you can see like the health, it's just the way some of the vegans look. Like, fuck it. Maybe some of the raw vegans, like the ones who, if they source all of their own foods and they do it all clean, eventually even them, they're probably going to have to use supplements. But the ones who just have the Beyond Burgers and all these highly processed foods as a replacement, they are struggling with health.
I'm like, I'm not taking you seriously when you're in a wheelchair, man.
Yeah.
I can't take you seriously.
Even
you're
Tash,
26 years old. Why are you in a wheelchair?
Even Tasha's appearance seems to have I mean, I don't know, maybe she's putting less effort in or whatever as a thing. But that's probably shaming, I would guess. But she looks less healthy as well. So
no, I just think it's I guess if you've ever done anything on a business level. I don't know what the word is, but like you kind of go, what can I create that people would want?
Yeah.
Right. And creating fucking noise. I don't think these is just fuel, or what are they called? These stop fuel people.
Yeah.
That park their cars in the middle of a highway when everyone's trying to go to work to protest about something, or they did it in
So
Wimbledon.
then I hate that people are idling in the same spot, putting more fucking emissions into the air.
Exactly. And then they did the thing at, was it Wimbledon, where someone just ran on the court and put orange like powder all over the nets or whatever they did. I'm like, man, you could spend the amount of time and effort and just create a thing that people now want.
And they don't protest things like whether you sit on whatever your thoughts are on climate change and what we're contributing to it. What I always find very ironic is they're willing to protest these sorts of things, yet they won't say or do anything about like the government selling out our resources to China or India and all these other nations that are still putting those fossil fuels into the same atmosphere in the same planet that we live on. There's no just because you're selling it and giving it to someone else doesn't mean you're net zero.
Yeah.
So if you're really serious about this, and whether you believe it's contributing or not, it doesn't matter. If they were really serious about this, they would stop selling it as well.
Yeah.
And so, but these sorts of people that are protesting, they don't protest that. They'll just protest that one person driving their car.
Yeah.
That's not winning. That's not making an impact. You're just annoying people and making people go, well, fuck you. I don't want to learn now.
Yeah, and people push back and do the opposite. And I think that's a problem, because I believe in all of these causes, and I think the protecting animals from getting slaughtered is terrible. We shouldn't do that. Same with, as much as you can help the climate for our children, we want them to have a good world. Of course we do.
Yeah.
All these things are important, and people that are putting the time and effort in to create something that takes a lot of risk, that takes a lot of sacrifice, takes work, employs a bunch of people, adds to the pie. You're not taking parts of the pie. You're actually building or growing the pie by creating a new industry or a new space that didn't exist. Is all amazing. And these young people they're motivated. They're passionate. They're resourceful when they need to be.
Yeah.
So I'm like, these are the criteria of creating amazing change. And I don't understand why complaints, why again, provocation of just fucking governments and all this. Why is that the approach?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, it's because everything that they've seen and had for their, I guess, childhood has been, I want it now, I get it now. And so I guess
that takes too long.
Yeah.
To do the thing takes too long.
Takes too long.
Yeah.
And even now, like we see this conversation is a longer format conversation, but it'll be clipped up into 1 minute things, and there's a lack of nuance in clips. And I get that, and I'm very conscious of it, and I understand it. If I put something out without context, I'm ready for the backlash.
Yep.
And
just put the part where I say I hate vegans.
Yeah, exactly. But these sorts of conversations require nuance. So for me, if I was to side with climate change isn't real, it's a natural thing, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm saying we don't pollute the planet. Let's stop polluting the planet as much as we possibly can. There's a nuanced conversation about that. But if you were to side with that, and it's the same with the vegans. If you say, fuck the vegans, doesn't mean I don't think there shouldn't be some sort of let's stop these factory farms and the horrible conditions they live in, and let's give them the best food that we can and look after our animals, look after local farmers. There's a nuanced discussion, and that's probably lost in clips, which is what the world has become. It's really cool to hear though that your long format is taking off on the channels, and ours is a lot more now as well. But it's still, there's a lot of people who watch the clips, even friends. They're like, "Oh, how good was that podcast with Mr Sikkant?" Awesome. What part did you like? Oh, this part. Oh, you just watch clips. So it is one of those things you have. I'm getting conscious with clips. Are you? Because you're short form as well, mainly.
Yeah.
Are you conscious of that as well, or I guess you're not so divisive? You just sort of interview people, but do you have to be when you do those sorts of clips?
But they all get divisive. Like if I'm interviewing someone, I interviewed this Pakistani migrant, and this was pre-federal elections, so just last month. And he talked about how no one is in any of the political parties supporting migrants. And it was just a conversation. He made a very good point. It was his opinion. And the comments went off the rails.
Yeah.
Like, fuck these Indians, get them out of this country. And it just went off the rails. And unfortunately, a lot of it becomes divisive because someone is sharing their opinion, someone is sharing their life, their lifestyle, their point of view. The difference is with our long form, we have banged our head against YouTube since we started because forever and ever, I've always wanted any creative project to sit in a long form YouTube format because that is my absolute favorite channel.
Yeah.
When I have the opportunity to use anything, any social media, of course, if you want a quick thing, you just fucking open Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But more often than not, anything that's valuable goes on YouTube.
Yeah. Agreed.
And we've tried everything. We tried single conversations. We tried compilations. We would, whatever, like everything you can imagine, we did. Fucking barely ever worked. Max views would get like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, what a win.
Yeah.
And slowly and steadily, and this is why, again, I give Tim the credit, whether he's got a background in film and direction and whatever. So he knows how to create a narrative. So now when we're filming, we are filming YouTube first and Reels second.
Yeah.
So like I said, finding the biggest Darrow in Jero is a comedic topic. And now we know every conversation has to sit within that umbrella. And when there's a theme and when someone can feel that whole, there's a story in this YouTube.
Yeah.
That's the unlock. We found again, we haven't figured it out. We're in the starting stages, but I think the last 4 videos have all crossed 250,000 views. So they've all done well in a long form format, which again, if I step back and look at it and go, that is amazing. But again, we're like, why isn't it hit 1 million?
Yeah.
The same problem. So what I'm trying to say is I think for YouTube, what we've learned is you've got to create the format. What is your format? And we never knew that because you would just try a bunch of things. You're like, that's interesting. That conversation was great. Why don't we put that after this one and then this one and then this one and then together it's fucking great video. But there was no theme. There was no intro. There was no narrative. There was no building of the story. And a lot of the music build up and all the stuff that I can't even imagine how he does it. He's great at that.
Yeah.
It now feels like you've watched an episode of a show.
Yeah.
Right? So when you think of it as a show, it changes your mind to going, I'm not putting a bunch of reels together in just a 30-minute thing because that's garbage. No one wants to see that.
Yeah.
But someone wants to see the search for the KGB of Australia. What the fuck is that? Like there's a KGB in Australia?
Yeah.
And obviously our angle is always comedic, a little bit stupid, with a bit of seriousness to get to the point of what we're trying to get to. And once we've done that, like it's now allowed us to go, okay, there's enough money that comes from that. There's enough viewership that allows us to do more. So like I said, the next one's now, there's one that we're doing on cults, and then there'll be one for Sydney on the essays. So we can build the story, and then the reels come from the story. So then what the reels do is take you back to the main piece.
That's it's actually a concept I've been thinking about doing because I don't do enough YouTube at all. And I just put the full episodes up there. Very rarely clip up parts and put them up, which I should. I should find key moments that I would normally reel and just turn them into a 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute, 6-minute, 7-minute clip, put it up, and then use that as the reel stuff. And then go, right, here's the reel directing to that video.
Yes.
I've been doing it the opposite. Put the whole YouTube up.
But that's okay with a podcast. People will still sit through and listen to a whole podcast.
That's correct.
Like I do that all the time.
They do, but they usually listen. So YouTube are more sort of, how can I access that? And that's I've been making the reels, going, yep, that's going to go well. Why don't I go, fuck, that's probably still going to go well on YouTube as well. I just need to reformulate that. But I think that's the best way to do it, is to create the YouTube clips and then use the reels from the YouTube clips.
Or you could use whatever reel you put it as a short and link it back to a related video.
Yeah, I've been doing that with the full episodes, yep.
Yeah. That doesn't get people to cross over?
A little bit. Not as much as you'd think, but we are seeing growth with the YouTube.
Well, YouTube is hard, man. It's so hard.
YouTube's fucked,
It's
man.
the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. TikTok will give you love on one thing and that'll lift your whole thing. Same with Instagram, and your Instagram's taken off lately. It's just been...
Because we blew up on TikTok a couple of years ago. Like I think we got like 150,000 on there, and so we've had a fair following for a while. But TikTok felt fake, like the following, and you don't
Doesn't mean anything.
No, it's just like, oh, that was a cool clip. Whereas Instagram seems to be a far more, it's realistic for who is following you and who watches your clips.
Yeah, because I look at the analytics of conversion. The conversion on TikTok is nothing.
Yeah.
Like literally is a fraction.
Now,
Whereas
if we have one that goes bonkers on TikTok, it does. People search, oh, who are these guys? And so if we get one big viral one, yes, we get a lot. It directs a lot to YouTube, of all things.
Cool.
Not to a little bit to Spotify, but...
and most of your listenership is in Spotify?
50-50 in iTunes.
Okay.
So iTunes, Spotify. So we normally double our analytics there, but yeah. But yeah, it's interesting watching all those the long format stuff grow. And but it's again, there's not enough of it. But we're seeing it around Australia. We're seeing all the influencers going to YouTube as opposed to just focusing on Reels, because it seems to be it's far better to have that, I think.
I guess the Reels is a shorter lifespan. You can only, and also, sorry, it's also what are you building? It's very hard to build like a sustainable project or like kind of whatever business or idea around just short Reels, because what I'm starting to notice is that again, it goes back to like, say you were creating a business. You've got to have your moat, which is the water around the castle that no one can cross. So you've got your little protection on the castle. It's like if you're doing little Reels and, you know, you're just making some like hacky sketch thing, where does that differentiate what you can do compared to someone else? Of course, writing the sketches is great. Being able to make the funny is great. But if you can create an episode on YouTube, who the fuck can do that? That's hard. That is hard. That's like
That's
top
such I like that, because that's something like a show, the way you frame that as a show.
Yeah. Yeah. The show is the thing that really transformed our mind. We're like, it's got to be a show.
Yeah.
Because if you...
Something you'd watch even like when when you're a kid and you turn on ABC at night and you have a show. I mean, that's what you want. And that's probably what it's striking me as.
Yeah.
Is it something you could do on TV, like television, or would consider?
100%. I think we would just change it to be more like cinematic, theatrical, with maybe more production value.
Yeah.
Because you've got to differentiate between the YouTube feel to the, to say like a streaming or TV feel.
Yeah.
But I think, again, Tim would know the numbers, but the amount of people watching the YouTube on TV is a pretty significant portion.
Yeah.
So that just means people are sitting down to go, let's watch
it.
this thing. So which indicates people are okay to watch it without going, oh, I might lose interest and move on to fucking Andrew Schultz, right? Like they're investing in it. And which, again, it's early stages, 4 or 5 videos don't indicate there's a lifespan. We've just got to build, get better and better. And as YouTube builds, then you know that you're creating that moat bigger and bigger. Who is going to go out and create these types of videos? I don't know. It's hard. People can. I'm not saying they can't, but you got to be able to walk up to strangers. You got to start conversations. You got to make those conversations relatable. Then you've got to have someone who's got the ability to edit that into a great narrative, make it into a story. Then you've got to make it more and more interesting each and every time. Means you got to keep building your skill. So there's a bar.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, same with you guys. Who's going to be able to set up a podcast studio like this? Who's going to be able to get the guests that you guys get?
Yeah.
Who's going to have the existing reputation? It's very hard. Two guys in a microphone in a basement can't compete.
Yeah.
So, but yet I feel like all the Reels are just when you meet your mate who's famous and they just fucking do something. It's like, what the fuck is this? Right? Like, this is stupid.
Well, that's the thing when, like, we could very easily save a lot of money and not rent this studio. But there's something different about asking someone to come to your studio as opposed to your fucking lounge room.
Yeah.
So there is, like, sometimes you have to invest, I think, to go to those next levels, and just put the effort in and that. And if that's the case, what you want to do with the show, like, where does that end for you? Like, is there an end game for the show? I want to call it a show now.
No, I think it's just getting better and better.
Yeah.
We just want to do more challenging things, target topics that stray away from more of the dark and grungy areas, kind of go into like, just it's always going to be comedic.
Yeah.
Because we're not going down a serious path. Maybe
Yeah.
somewhere we'll do something serious, but not really.
Yeah.
Like bits and pieces we have. Like we had this whole thing on the asylum seekers when we went with Senator Fatima Payman, and she talked about
Yep.
calling the leader of whatever. I don't see this, how much I know about politics.
Yep.
So we have done those, but I think it's just going to be how do we keep elevating that intro? That intro's got to be so entertaining that people sit through this episode or show because they have a million options.
Yeah.
How do we make sure our skill set is as good as it can be, which means I've got to be able to train disarming someone, getting them, flipping it to make it comedic, all very interesting, get them to move, do something, and all do that within seconds because they're not consenting to it until they're consenting to it.
Yeah.
Right? I've approached a stranger. How do we find great topics that are already going to make that more interesting? So it's a lot of things. And if we can get better and better at that, there's nothing more fun. That's just fucking awesome.
And like, there's nothing wrong with, like you say, dabbling and dipping your toe into serious. So obviously, the more serious tone this podcast has taken, the more it's exploded. Also, probably delving into a bit of conspiracy stuff. Everyone loves that, you know. It's just fun to do. But you see,
Well, you're
people
also
like,
a very good interviewer, man.
Oh,
That's
thank-
not just saying that. I think you'll make a person calm. You speak clearly.
yeah, cool.
You have control over the conversation. That's a skill on its own.
Yeah.
Like I've done some podcasts where I'm like, this guy's got no control over this thing. He's just fucking asking me rapid fire questions.
Well, man, I do have to look back and go, it is a skill that you develop. Like if you listen to our first few episodes, it's so slow, stagnant, just going all the time. And I do and a fair bit, but you do learn. You do become it is a skill. But I'm seeing it with like comedians dipping their toes into seriousness and how much it's escalating their popularity. Like Theo Von, perfect example. Obviously big deal getting Trump, but like some of his clips, this goes way before him interviewing Trump. Like he's talking about mental health, his own vulnerabilities. Like he's one of the best riffing comedians going around. Like great on podcasts.
Yeah, amazing.
Not as great doing stand-up for whatever reason, doesn't translate, but when you hear him riffing, he's incredible. But that dipping his toe into some serious topics and talking to some very fucking important people, that's escalated him. And I'm seeing that when it comes to every sort of, every channel, like yours included, comedic, but edging a little bit of seriousness and some inquisitiveness. It seems to be the way that people are very curious now.
I totally agree. If our channel was purely on a serious nature, I think it would do so much better. In all honesty, if we were just going 100% feel good,
Yeah.
maybe pressing social topics and
Yeah.
what's thematic, what's timely, our channel would probably be 4 or 5 times bigger. But again, it's like it's called the algorithm creep or whatever. That's just what I call it. Is you do something, the algorithm gives you a little peak, and you're like, let's do 20 more of those things.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're down a tunnel where you're now fucking making videos about, I don't know, skateboards.
Yeah.
Because one popped off and now you're in a skateboard channel. And you're like, where the fuck am I? And I've seen it. If you go on YouTube, you look at the amount of essentially mirrors of Isaac Butterfield there are. It is endless.
Yeah.
That guy's been doing it for a long time. He's incredible. Meeting him was such an eye opener. He's got his the process is so sharp. He's incredibly focused on how he can do his stand up gigs at the various places. Not who he's collaborating, but what his collaborations are.
Yeah.
What his timely schedule of release are. What topics? Who's doing the research?
Wow.
And he's relaxed. He's walking around, fucking chilling. He's got his wife with him, with his kid.
Yeah.
And a bodyguard, right? Like a security guy, right?
You got a security guy.
Which was wild, right? I was like, fuck, I should have one of those.
Yeah.
But it was so good because I was like, man, I can go even harder. There's a guy to protect us. This is
Yeah.
fucking great. So seeing someone like him, I'm like, he can do that. And then, of course, YouTube goes, we want the most, if everyone's talking about Joe Biden having cancer, let's get as much viewership for anyone that talks about Joe Biden having cancer.
Yeah.
And then you do that once, you're like, fuck me, I just got 200 million views. Now I'm going to talk about P. Diddy's 8th day in the courtroom. Oh, fuck, now I'm going to talk about whatever comes up. you are now in the wind of the algorithm and in the tunnel of the algorithm, and it's grabbed you forever and ever, and you become that guy who sits at a table, faces the camera, and just delivers constant on the news topics.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's what it does. And same with TikTok, same with Instagram. Again, you don't realize the amount of community guidelines we've had to fucking navigate.
Yeah.
Because every time you get a little bit edgy, every time someone's touching a cigarette,
Yeah.
every time someone said the word cannabis,
Yeah.
anytime fucking cunt's used 4 or 5 times, my channel's got fucking in the name.
Yeah.
So you go, oh, it's just easier to walk up to a rich person, go, hey, what do you do for a living? How did you get rich? Oh, tell me about some great insight. Oh, beautiful. You fucking had, you risked it. And I'm like, it would just be so much easier. We would crush it. And every time I've done an emotional episode, fucking banger views.
Yeah.
But I've got to be
Authentic.
I've got to be mindful of why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? I don't need to do it. Not that need is, I've got a creative need. But it's not like I'm doing it financially. It's making me fuck all money and putting all of it back into growing it. But the reason I'm doing it is because I love the comedic, raw conversations with people, improving my skill to make it funny. And a lot of the times that goes off the rails. It's not an algorithm thing. It's not supporting the algorithm.
Yeah.
But if I do that, I will be happier that we've managed to do something that we always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to please the algorithm at times.
Yeah.
You've got to do it because that's just where you get visibility.
Yeah.
But if 95% of the time we do the thing that makes us happy, that in 5-10 years, like you guys have done, so it's great to go put your foot in the sand and go, this is the thing we want to do.
Yeah.
Because, man, it is fucking easy.
Because it's a slower growth, but it is a far more stronger, authentic and loyal listener audience.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
build it slowly over the time. If you go on trends, they'll start following you because of that trend and then realize, oh, that's not what they're about. I don't like that.
Or fucking Dave does that a little bit better now. Oh, it doesn't matter about Branchy. Dave's all right. He tells me about the news.
Yeah.
Fuck him. What's the difference? He sits in front of the camera and says the thing.
Yeah.
That guy's now got a bit of better production. Let me go there.
Yeah.
It's like what Bill Burr said when he was coming up in stand-up. He goes, I was doing the shittest gigs. No one would pay me. I was doing fucking $2 gigs all across because I always wanted to do this polarizing against the narrative type of comedy that everyone's familiar with, right? And I think it was Dave Chappelle that told him, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Dave Chappelle that came up to him, saw him at one of the gigs, and he was like, I was ready to kind of give it up. He was like, this is not working for me. I'm just not a good comedian. I thought I was, but I'm not. And Chappelle went up to him and said, what you're doing is fucking awesome, but you're going to have to stick with it longer because it's going to take a bit longer for people to appreciate the type of comedy you do. Now, those are not the words you used, but it was something along those lines. And Bill Burr was like, that gave me fuel for like another 5 years.
Yeah.
And what happened? He went like fucking like this.
Yeah. Took off.
And obviously he's now gone a bit more fucking commercial, so it's a bit annoying. Like his last few specials, I'm like, come on, man, we want the Bill Burr.
Yeah.
But I just always think of that. I'm like, you've just got to go, what do you want to do? Because anyway, this became too preachy.
Yeah. No, it's right though. It's like if you stay and remain authentic to yourself, you're building your audience or you're building your friendship group or you're building your family around the person that you are. It's the same with a relationship. If you go on a date and you pretend to be this sort of person just so they will like you, and then eventually that person can't stick around the whole time.
Yeah.
Your real side of you is going to pop out and they're going to go, oh, I don't like that person. So you have to, in any situation, whether it's building a business, building a channel, a content sort of thing, starting a relationship, anything, friends, if you're not authentic to what you love and enjoy, you're going to lose them eventually, or you're just going to be very conflicted and you're going to feel silenced yourself. And I think that's...
And it's going to be harder because we probably we've lost so many brand deals because no one wants to sponsor this type of channel.
Yeah.
But if we were a feel-good, happy channel, we'd get all the sponsorships with the views that we have, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like money will always get you to do certain things you don't want to do, right? And so certain things we do for money. So the balance is, like, for example, taking a sponsorship of a casino was one where I was like, that's a tricky one. But then I'm like, no, that's okay, because that is, again, the opinion of people that casinos are fucked or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But they're not. They're still a fucking thing that people use. Fine. But it's like, do you change your whole channel now to get sponsorships that are not casinos because you can get all of them. We could get Mazda. You could get fucking Feel Good, whatever. You know what I mean, right? Like you get all of them. But it's like money will make you do a lot of things you don't want to do. And then unfortunately, if we have the opportunity that our lifestyle is not at this level that we got to chase the money and it's here, you've got that space to take some risks.
I think it comes back to what we spoke about at the start. Full circle was just sometimes you've already achieved it. And that the money, the material rewards are not necessarily, you're looking at them as a mark of, I've achieved what I said I was going to achieve. But sometimes you have to understand the money brings a feeling. The freedom brings a feeling. The material wealth and possessions, and they bring a feeling. So the marker isn't what you've received, it's how you feel, I think. Yeah. And it comes back to what I said before. Like, I think it was yesterday, like I finished that gig. And I turned to Grace on the way home and I was like, I am fucking happy. Like, what the fuck? Like, that is the marker of making it. And maybe for now, like there's going to be that buzz, that high after that gig and everything I've been doing lately, even achieving something something I've been working hard for with the run and taking 40 minutes off my time and all the achievements, they are markers to a point, but they're not. Like, it is, what did I feel when I was at that point? And I think that's lost on a lot of people. They'll see the money, they'll see the 100,000 followers and go, yes, but you don't feel any different. It's the feeling after doing it. And
if you feel good with yourself, which you do.
I think so, and I think that's the thing for you watching what you're doing. If you're loving that, it doesn't matter.
No. And people feel it. They go, fuck, of course he loves doing it. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Like, I love fucking meeting a random person that just fucking share me the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Both have a laugh, do something fucking stupid. They say something stupid. I say something stupid. We're authentic. Everyone goes, fuck now. And people watching go, man, I sit behind a corporate desk all day because I've done that most of my life. You watch that and you go, fuck, I can be myself. Yeah. Who gives a shit? Yeah. I don't need to like pretend to be Procter & Gamble's greatest employee. I can be myself.
Yeah.
Obviously not at work because you'll lose your time. but outside of that, it gives you a little bit of freedom, right? So anyway, that's kind of a tough philosophy you've got to have, and it's hard because it's against what everything wants you to do.
Yeah.
And especially these algorithms, until recently, Instagram wasn't doing anything because they just wanted the vanilla, safe content. And then Trump, the whole movement of trying to be more free speech, allowed anything to go. And now we go as hard as we can, and it goes.
Well, I think the best thing you've done is you've given credibility to the idea that everyone has a story. Everyone does, man. And whether or not you can communicate that well, like there's a lot of people who have a story who just can't communicate it very well. Yeah. And what you're doing is giving them a platform, man. So I think that's fucking awesome. But I am conscious of your time. You do have to run. But so is there anything you want to plug before we finish up?
No, go. We've talked enough about the YouTube. Go check out the YouTube. Hopefully you enjoy it. We're going to keep doing what we said. So, it's Mr Sikkant with a double K.
Fuck yeah. Mate, really appreciate your time. And we'll have you back again and it won't glitch. We'll get Delby on and we'll talk shit again.
I would love to. That was awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, Rick.